Michigan is defined by our water. Surrounded by 21% of all the fresh, accessible surface water on Earth, at Clean Water Action, we work to protect our Great Lakes, all the waters that feed them, and the health of the people who rely on them. We fight for environmental justice, clean, safe, and affordable drinking water for all, and a livable climate. We work to hold polluters accountable for the contamination they create. We work for resilient water infrastructure and a just energy system that moves Michigan away from polluting fossil fuels. We ensure that politicians are held accountable for the decisions they make that impact our water, climate, and communities. We get clean water voters to the polls, and we win. Clean Water Action doesn't wait for supporters to find us. Our canvassers knock on doors year-round across the state, listening to concerns, engaging in conversations about the problems Michigan faces, sharing solutions, building support from the grassroots on up to the halls of power. We find people like you who care about protecting clean water for the health of our water, our environment, and our climate, for our democracy, for our families and our communities, for Michigan. Our members take action, add their own voice, speak out for our water and the health of our communities. That collective energy of a growing chorus is how we achieve victories for our water and our climate, and how we continue to fight for what's right. We have the conversations that lead to action, and by building strength in numbers, we work to protect our fresh water and our future. And we couldn't do it without you.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight. Welcome to the 2021 Great Lakes Awards celebration. My name is Mary Brady Enerson, and I am the Michigan Director of Clean Water Action. We are actually still waiting on one award recipient. I don't believe Kathy Aterno has joined us yet, but she will be here soon, I'm sure. It's an honor to have you all here with us this evening. Wanted to start with just a little reflection. Last 18 months rather have been a strange and at times challenging time for all of us. There have been some silver linings too. I know that I have learned to slow down a bit and have greater appreciation for what I have and what I've been able to accomplish, even in the face of adversity. I've learned just how important community and human connection are, and I've learned the power of gratitude. It's these three things that I hope to share with you all this evening. So join me tonight by slowing down, celebrating the accomplishments we've all had this year, big and small, recognizing and thanking our amazing award recipients for their contributions to this world, and growing our connections with each other. So we typically hold this event in person, as Jeff Kingsit will know. He's someone who attends every year, never misses one. It's usually a really good time. We certainly miss seeing everyone in person. We are keeping our fingers crossed for next year, but I'm also really deeply grateful for the technology that allows so many to Zoom in tonight from all around the country and join us in this celebration. Just another silver lining. So let's get into it. Welcome again to our friends, to our allies, members, supporters, elected leaders, Clean Water Action staff and board members, and of course, our distinguished guests of honor, Michelle Martinez, Dr. Kyle White, Governor Whitmer, and Kathy Aterno. Before we dive into the award ceremony portion of the evening, I'd like to take just a moment to share a bit about Clean Water Action's accomplishments over the past year and what we are working towards heading into 2022. So since we met last fall, we've made some big progress and scored a few big wins too. Our incredible canvas and program teams dug deep last summer and fall, all while working from home during a pandemic to help deliver Michigan for Biden and Harris, to return Senator Peters to the US Senate, and to re-elect dozens of environmental champs to Congress and the Michigan State House. All in all, here in Michigan, we made over 1.2 million voter contact attempts and reached over 6 million voters through our digital campaigns. Also last November, Governor Whitmer had a big announcement. She announced that she was revoking and terminating Enbridge Energy's easement that has allowed the foreign oil company to operate its dual pipelines through the heart of our Great Lakes. Big shout out to our field canvas, to Sean McBrearty, to our allies and friends with the Oil and Water Don't Mix campaign, and to all 12 of Michigan's Indigenous tribes for this historic win. Sean will be sharing some more details on the status of that work in a minute. Throughout 2021, we have continued to push for polluter pay laws, the creation of a statewide septic code, funding for lead service line replacement, strengthening of PFAS regulations, creation and implementation of water affordability programs, municipalization of energy utilities, funding for resilient water infrastructure in the face of climate change, progressive revenue reform, robust public participation in Michigan's redistricting process, and protection of Michigan's election laws, which are under attack. But it would be untrue to say that we do it all alone. In fact, we do most of this work in partnership and collaboration with our friends and allies who share our vision and our values. So shout out to MEJC, to the Michigan Alliance for Justice and Climate, to the Empower Michigan Table, to the Water for All Coalition, to People's Water Board, to the Michigan Water Table, to Oil and Water Don't Mix, the Revenue Table, America Votes, and so many other spaces where Clean Water Action grows our relationships, builds intersectional movements, and creates impactful change. There is certainly still more work to do, and we are going to keep at it. We must shut down Line 5 for good. We must ensure no one in Michigan is drinking lead or PFAS-laden water. We must ensure Michigan's water is not privatized for profit. We must invest in resilient water infrastructure and stop the continued use of fossil fuels. We must protect the Great Lakes from plastic pollution and other contaminants. We must hold elected leaders accountable, and we must help get environmental champions elected to office and ensure that every Michigan voter has equitable access to the ballot box. So there is still a lot of work to do, and we fully intend to keep doing that work. But tonight we celebrate. We celebrate the work we have done and the people we've done it alongside. So, as you may know, Clean Water Action has been a leader in the fight to shut down Enbridge Energy's Line 5 pipeline through the Straits of Mackinac for the past 7 years. In addition to his work as our legislative and policy director, Sean McBrearty represents Clean Water on the steering committee of the Oil and Water Don't Mix campaign. He has also served as Oil and Water's campaign coordinator for the past 4.5 years. So as I promised, here is that update. Sean?
Thanks very much, Mary, and thanks everybody for joining us tonight. I'm Sean McBrearty, Clean Water Action's Legislative and Policy Director, and as Mary said, I also represent Clean Water on the Oil and Water Don't Mix Steering Committee and as the campaign coordinator of Oil and Water Don't Mix. And I wanted to share a quick update about our work around Enbridge Energy's Line 5 pipeline and the long struggle to shut this thing down. As many of you know, this is one of those issues that seems to change on almost a daily basis with the several different components at the federal and state level going around on Line 5. Right now, we're still awaiting a federal court decision on whether or not Governor Whitmer's action last November to revoke Enbridge's easement for Line 5 will be heard in state or federal court. We're keeping our fingers crossed that the army of lawyers from DC and international law firms that Enbridge brought with them loses that battle and the case is remanded back to state court where it belongs. Last week, all 12 of the federally recognized tribes here in Michigan wrote to President Biden asking him to intervene in the court case. They also called on him to ensure that the tribes have a seat at the table for any treaty negotiations with the Canadian federal government, and they called on him to consider the revocation of the presidential permit for Line 5, which would end this fight here and now. We strongly support these requests from our tribal allies, and we stand in solidarity with them. The leadership of Michigan's tribal communities on this campaign have been integral to our success for more than 8 years since this campaign began. The campaign to shut down Line 5, as many of you know, has created a groundswell of activism across Michigan and the Great Lakes region. One activist, my friend and great musician, Sam Cooper, wrote a song recently about the battle we're engaged in right now. And it's my pleasure to share her music with you now with the great music video she made. So please enjoy.
Will there be better days? 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 It is time to stop line free.
It's directly violating treaty rights.
It's a sinking economy.
We can't double down on tar sands in a climate crisis.
There are cleaner, safer, more humane options.
There should be no sacrifice zones, no sacrifice people.
We need our energy needs. While we're at it, stop line 5.
That means no replacement tunnel either.
It's past due to remove that line.
It's not if it spills, it's when. Check the data.
Enbridge can't be trusted with our water.
Kalamazoo remembers.
Minnesota remembers.
We have got to remove that line.
For the Anishinaabe people, the annual wild rice harvest across the Great Lakes region is the most important central part of our tradition, our food security and sustenance, and cultural lifeway. But wild rice is at risk. Monoman is threatened by climate change, mining, water pollution, and by Enbridge's pipelines. Wild rice is both a legal right under the rights of Monoman and an indicator species that reflects the health of our ecosystem. Monoman requires abundant clean water to grow, making it especially vulnerable to oil spills.
There's a climate crisis now.
We're living through climate apartheid.
We need bolder action right now.
Water is life. Now be a beaver
We
Mazawind.
are nearing the end of an era.
Stop the muddy pipeline.
We have got to act right now.
Divest from fossil fuels.
Let the wave wash over you. Let the wave wash over you. All we have is us to hang on to. Let the wave wash over you.
The UN Secretary General has called the IPCC report Code Red for Humanity.
We're running out of time. We're running out of time. Will there be better days?
So I really want to thank Sam Cooper for letting us share her new music video. And everybody, please check out the links in the chat, link tree that was just added right there, to check out Sam's amazing activism, learn more about her work and her music. Earlier this year, Sam and I were in Minnesota together protesting the Enbridge Line 3 expansion. And I'd just like to share a little bit of that experience with the folks on the call tonight. What we saw there is coming here to Michigan if we give Enbridge the opportunity. Enbridge successfully divided communities across Minnesota. Small towns along the Line 3 route had been festooned with Enbridge propaganda and the false hope that this project would bring growth and long-term employment. Enbridge bought police forces, literally bought police forces, spending over $2 million funding Minnesota sheriff's offices to fight peaceful actions and religious ceremonies led by local Indigenous activists, leaders, and water protectors. Now that the pipeline is done, the jobs have vanished from northern Minnesota, but the scars across the land and the communities still remain. We're facing a true David versus Goliath fight to shut down Line 5 before it ruptures into the heart of the Great Lakes. Along with all of our allies in the Oil and Water Don't Mix campaign and Michigan's tribal leaders, Clean Water has helped to build one of the strongest and most enduring environmental campaigns Michigan has ever seen. And with your continued support, we will beat Enbridge. We've been able to document just this year over $6 million in Enbridge propaganda spending in Michigan alone. Just as they have in Minnesota, they're working to divide communities, buy politicians, and rig our political process. Foreign corporations can and do spend money to influence US elections, and we can be sure that Enbridge will be taking full advantage of that as we move into the 2022 election. So tonight we're asking for your support. If you can, please make a contribution to ensure Clean Water Action can continue to help move this work forward. There's a link in the chat to make a contribution now. We are so close to victory, but we know that Enbridge will do everything in their power to stop us. They can and will spend millions of dollars to keep oil flowing through the Great Lakes, but with your support and the strength of all those who value our water, we will win. It's time to shut down Line 5 for good. So thank you for all of your support. Please check us out, and also please check out Sam's wonderful music, and I'm gonna go ahead and kick it back to Mary.
Thank you so much, Sean. And thank you again to Sam Cooper, who I think is on here. I think I saw her in our chat. So thank you for joining us, for sharing your activism through music with us tonight. And yes, everyone, please do check her out, support her, as well as Oil and Water Don't Mix, and all of the water protectors and water warriors that are leading this fight. All right, now we are on to the awards portion of our evening. Our first award recipient doesn't need much of an introduction. Governor Gretchen Whitmer is committed to defending our Great Lakes, mitigating the impacts of climate change on our communities, and protecting public health. Since taking office 2.5 years ago, she has invested more resources into water infrastructure than the previous 5 years combined. Here are just a few of her accomplishments as governor. Governor Whitmer enforced the strongest lead and copper rule for drinking water supplies in the country and launched a statewide education campaign to inform Michiganders on how to protect themselves from lead exposure. She established health-based drinking water standards for PFAS chemicals in our drinking water. She partnered with Attorney General Dana Nessel to hold PFAS polluters accountable for their contamination. She limited the purchasing of products containing PFAS from state procurement. She created the Office of the Clean Water Public Advocate and the Office of the Environmental Justice Public Advocate. The governor launched the Michigan Clean Water Plan, a $500 million drinking and wastewater infrastructure plan to address high water rates, lead service lines, toxic contaminants, sewers that don't meet demand, and failing septic systems. When COVID-19 hit Michigan, she took steps to ensure thousands of Michiganders had access to clean water by signing executive orders and the Water Shutoff Protection Act that required the reconnection of water service where it had been previously shut off due to inability to pay. And I think I saw Sylvia Orduno in the chat. Props to People's Water Board for leading that fight. She deployed funds to keep dangerous invasive carp out of the Great Lakes. She signed an executive directive committing to reduce phosphorus levels in Lake Erie 40% by 2025. She committed Michigan to the Paris Climate Agreement and joined the US Climate Alliance. She launched the My Healthy Climate Plan, a plan to move all sectors of our economy to carbon neutral by 2050, and committed to powering state government with 100% renewable energy by 2025. And of course, she revoked and terminated that easement that allows Enbridge to run their dual pipelines through the Straits of Mackinac. So for these reasons and many others, we are proud to recognize Governor Gretchen Whitmer as the 2021 Heroine of the Great Lakes. The governor really wanted to be here with us tonight. I have to tell you, I went back and forth with her scheduling team for weeks and weeks and weeks. But unfortunately, schedules conflicted and it did not allow for her to attend. She did, however, record a message and send that our way in acceptance of this award that we'll go ahead and play now.
Hello, Clean Water Action. I'm so honored to receive the 2021 Heroine of the Great Lakes Award. As governor of this great state, one of my top priorities is protecting the Great Lakes. Our Great Lakes provide 48 million people with drinking water. They support 1.3 billion jobs. That's why I'm working hard to get Line 5 out of the water. It's why we've made historic investments in our drinking water with the Michigan Clean Water Plan. And it's why we've developed some of the strongest drinking water standards in the country for contaminants like lead and PFAS. It's why we've secured millions in environmental protection in the bipartisan budget that I signed. We have to step up and defend the Great Lakes because they are borrowed from future generations. We have a moral obligation to our children and to our children's children to protect the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes are not only Michigan's greatest asset, they're our beating heart. I humbly accept the Great Lakes Award, and I want to thank you all for the work that you do day in and day out. None of this work would be possible without groups like Clean Water Action. Let's keep working together to put Michiganders first and to protect our waters. Thank you.
All right. Well, congratulations again to Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Next up, our 2021 Advocate of the Year. Need you all to bear with me here because these bios, these next two are very, very impressive folks. And I tried to chop these bios down as much as I could, but it was difficult. So we'll just jump in. I first met Michelle Martinez a few years back at a meeting at EMEAC in Detroit that was convened by Rashida Tlaib before she was elected to Congress. I cannot quite remember what all we discussed at that meeting, what the topic was or the agenda, but I do remember vividly hearing Michelle speak for the first time and thinking to myself, who is this woman? I have got to meet her. So I stopped her in the lobby after the meeting. I introduced myself and I asked if we could find a time to connect. Over the years since, my appreciation of and gratitude for Michelle has only grown. Michelle is one of the most tenacious, brilliant, creative, authentic, inclusive, and justice-committed people I have ever had the privilege of knowing, let alone working beside. Michelle Martinez is a Latina climate justice activist, writer, and mom of two, born and raised in Detroit, where she still resides. Since 2006, Michelle has worked in local communities of color to build power to halt climate change and the detrimental effects of pollution in post-industrial Detroit. Working across issues of race, gender, and nationality, Michelle has built and led coalitions using art and media, land-based programming, popular education, voter engagement, and corporate accountability tactics to shape policy solutions. In 2019, she helped organize the March for the Green New Deal in Detroit during the Democratic National Debate, organizing with residents to align for what we all know now as the Build Back Better agenda. She has served as the director of the Michigan Environmental Justice Coalition since 2017, advocating for climate justice for communities disproportionately impacted by environmental toxins. Under Michelle's leadership, MEJC has grown from a staff of one part-time person to a powerhouse team of 8 full-time organizers and activists who, and these are Michelle's words, are going to really mess it up for a better future. Michigan Environmental Justice Coalition was convened in 2011 in an attempt to implement the 2010 Environmental Justice Plan that was created by EJ activists and signed by then Governor Jennifer Granholm. MEJC is responsible for seeding the 2018 Work for Me DTE campaign aimed at holding DTE Energy accountable to achieve energy democracy and justice. This year, MEJC helped anchor the Michigan Alliance for Justice and Climate to ensure equity is centered in climate policy in Congress. Michelle was also a 2017 Equity Fellow at Wayne State University Law School's Damon J. Keith Center for Civil Rights and received the top 25 Latinx leaders from the state of Michigan's Hispanic Latino Commission in 2019. She earned her master's in environmental policy from U of M and a bachelor's in English Lit also from U of M. Michelle will be stepping down from her post with MEJC in December, and we will all miss her. She will be greatly missed by all who've had the privilege of working with her in that capacity, though I am certain we will see her doing something incredible in her next adventure. Joining Michelle in receiving this award tonight is Dr. Kyle White, Board Chair of MEJC. Dr. Kyle White is George Willis Pack Professor of Environment and Sustainability at the University of Michigan, teaching in the Environmental Justice specialization. His research addresses environmental justice, focusing on moral and political issues concerning climate policy and Indigenous peoples, the ethics of cooperative relationships between Indigenous peoples and science organizations, and problems of Indigenous justice in public and academic discussions of food sovereignty and environmental justice. He is an enrolled member of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. Dr. White currently serves on the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council, the Board of Directors of the Pesticide Action Network North America, and is board chair of MEJC. He has served as an author for the U.S. Global Change Research Program, including on the National Climate Assessment and for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Working Group 2. He is a former member of the Advisory Committee on Climate Change and Natural Resource Science in the U.S. Department of Interior and of 2 environmental justice working groups convened by past governors of Michigan. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to recognize Michelle Martinez and the entire team at Michigan Environmental Justice Coalition as Clean Water Action's 2021 Advocate of the Year. Congratulations, Michelle.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. And thanks so much, Mary, for your kind words. I have so much respect for Clean Water Action and the work that you all do to help protect our most precious resource, the Great Lakes, and it's sacred to so many here in Michigan. So we really respect your work and are happy to be a partner with Clean Water Action. We appreciate also the Oil and Water Don't Mix campaign and the efforts to shut down Line 5. Got to talk with Sean after he got back from his trip out to the Line 3 camp, and just really powerful transformative work that's happening, right? Organizing with and for our communities and being an ally to environmental justice. So thank you so much to Mary and Sean for all your hard work. So, you know, I want to say just a little bit about myself. I was born in '81 in Detroit, and my parents, Misael Antonio Martinez and Teresa Marie Hernandez, were hardworking people. You know, like a lot of other families, we were working to make ends meet. My dad ran an ornamental iron shop, Diseños, from our garage on West Berner. And my mom ran the business side of it, writing checks and making sure people got paid. And on Sundays, we went to Spanish Mass at St. Anne's or Holy Redeemer, and we shot that Farmer Jack across the street, right, when there was still Farmer Jack in the city. But, you know, we were also amidst this massive disinvestment of the city, right? And it was really the merger of capital flight that we were witnessing in the 80s and white flight. My family moved to Howell, Michigan in 1987. And I actually learned what it meant to walk out my back door and not be, you know, fenced in, but seeing a pond and a forest rich with frogs and salamanders and running around in swamps, right? Instead of our neighbors' homes burning down, smelling soot and foul odors. But as a kid, you know, I just learned really quickly that that town wasn't built for me. And the legacy of the Ku Klux Klan in Howell, Michigan really marked the reputation and the reality for me and so many others who lived there. And this is how I learned about environmental racism, right? So I didn't know what exactly it was called. I got to learn from brilliant researchers at the University of Michigan, like Dr. Mohai and Dr. Bunyan Bryant and Dr. Yvette Perfecto, who taught me, right, that some people have the rights and the privileges of land and clean water and fresh air, while others globally are marginalized, structurally and systemically erased, right? And denied these same privileges by forces of economic gain and greed. So it really set a fire under me to commit my life to change this fact. Moving back to Detroit and witnessing, you know, many of the families here who are losing loved ones, my own family, right, passing from cancer and heart disease and other ailments that are directly associated with this toxic reality in Detroit. So it only reaffirms the commitments to change this. And so, you know, as the tide rises and as the ice thaws, so do we, right? We rise. And that's been my work over the last 15 years. And I've just served with amazing leaders, unparalleled minds and hearts, some of who are here. So, hey, everyone, I see you in the chat. And we stand on the shoulders of giants. And that's why I really want to dedicate this award to the staff and the members of MEJC, really, who work tirelessly to end environmental racism. We're knowing really what's at stake and living that experience. So next month, I do hand over my reins of the job to a new executive director and to the amazing staff at MEJC, staff Jamisa Johnson-Greer, Juan Hong Chung, Amina Maxey, Bridget Vile, Ryan Ray Fielder, Arada Jerry Olieta, Gabriela Alcazar. They're so amazing, and I am just so proud that they're going to be taking on all of this work and continuing to carry forth the mission, right, with pride and passion. I also honor our board who has helped us through the pandemic, and just want to express gratitude to them, and here to accept this beautiful award. And I wish you could all see it. It's probably 30 pounds, right? Is Kyle White, who I really just can't express my gratitude enough that no one has really made more of an impact on my understanding of our collective responsibility to stewardship, right? Mutuality and the restoration of right relationship with Earth, and Dr. Kyle White. So, you know, he's huge, an advisor to the White House, professor at U of M, special advisor to the United Nations. He's really, really committed his life to teaching others. I was on a career panel today at U of M, and so many students just said, you know, when I need advice, I go to Dr. White, and he's so supportive. So really making space for the next generation of future leaders so that they may voice their leadership and take the helm for the next generation. But thank you again to all of you. And again, I accept this on behalf of MEJC and pass the mic to Dr. Kyle White.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you to Clean Water Action. And Mary, the words you expressed about Michelle and Michelle's leadership were absolutely emotional for me. And I wanted to thank Michelle for being the most inspiring leader that I know. And as board chair, I know a lot about Michelle's leadership. You know, I know many of us are inspired by Michelle's vision, by Michelle's knowledge of policy, by Michelle's skills at building coalitions. But I also know what it took for Michelle to be able to be that leader that could create an organization that's grown to have the impacts that MEJC has. I know what Michelle had to learn. I know what tasks Michelle had to take on with no classes or degrees or you know, I mean, it's real grassroots action where you learn what you have to make things happen that affect the well-being of our communities and the communities that matter to us. And so I really want to thank you again, Mary, for emphasizing that aspect of the identity of our organization, the vision, the leadership, the hard work, and the willingness to be an ethical person and a values-based person that Michelle demonstrates on a daily basis. And no matter who's watching or who takes notice, but myself and Gloria Lowe, who are among the people serving on the management committee and the board function, we know and we see. And I also want to really just emphasize how grateful I am, because it's not just Michelle's work I see, but it's the work of our staff and the tremendous hard work and just inspiration, the creativity, the ingenuity. And I'm thinking about, I mean, everyone, you know, Amina, Irada, Ray, Juan, Jamisa, Bridget, Gabriela, you know, we see all that you bring and you accomplish so much, and you do it based on who you are, based on your values, and based on putting justice and equity first and living those commitments and dealing with all of the pressures and challenges of having to do that. And when, you know, I think about what the staff has achieved, what MEJC has achieved, what the folks that I just named have achieved, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, imagine just massive amounts of work in Congress, and with the Michigan delegation, educating policymakers and their staff of environmental justice issues, And through negotiations on Build Back Better with national partners like Climate Justice Alliance and Equitable and Just National Climate Platform, these are hard spaces to be in, and you have to have the right skill sets, the right tenacity to occupy those spaces, to be in those spaces, to be a presence and to have an impact. Through the formation of the Michigan Alliance for Justice and Climate and Equity Focused Climate Alliance, MEJC is shifting the narrative on climate change, engaging environmental justice voters, and mobilizing those most impacted by climate injustice. MEJC has anchored the Work for Me DTE campaign with partners like Solidarity, Craft, and We Want Green Too, and Michigan Welfare Rights for an affordable, renewable, and community-owned energy system. In Detroit, MEJC worked to help pass the Detroit River Protection Ordinance this year due to the collapse of the Detroit riverfront because of the bad behavior of dirty industry. And I could go on, but I just want to thank Clean Water Action and accept this award on behalf of our staff and our wonderful leadership. Miigwech.
Thank you, Dr. White. Thank you, Michelle. Congratulations again. You all really are an inspiration. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And everyone, please do check out the chat. We put more information about how to learn more about MEJC and support their work. All right, so for our final awards presentation, I have invited former Congressman David Bonnier and Clean Water Action President and CEO Bob Wendelgast to introduce Kathy Aterno and recognize her with the Great Lakes Guardian Lifetime Achievement Award. But before I turn it over to them, I hope you will indulge me for just a moment. Kathy Aterno has been with Clean Water Action for over 3 decades and will be retiring at the end of this year. A Michigan native, Kathy founded the Michigan Clean Water Office in the 1980s and has been one of our biggest cheerleaders ever since. Though Bob and David have the privilege of introducing Kathy for this one, I'd like to first share a brief video that we pulled together for the occasion. So this one is for you, Kathy.
Don't
be
nervous, Nelly, about
your
retirement. It
is
gonna be a nothing burger.
Hello, I'm Myron Arnowitz, Pennsylvania Director for Clean Water Action. Kathy, I always said that I'd stay at Clean Water Action as long as you were here because you were the only person who could possibly keep this crazy organization together, and I guess I better update my resume, so hopefully we'll figure it out. Thanks for all your help and support over the years.
Hi Kathy, this is Anita Holland sending congratulations all the way from Cape May, New Jersey. Cheers, sister. If anyone deserves it, you do.
Hi Kathy, it's State Representative Bill Sowerby from District 31 in Macomb County. Congratulations to you and thank you for over 3 decades of friendship and collaborating together on all the important issues. Good luck to you.
Hey Kathy, happy retirement. And one of the things I remember best is all the times we used to have those incredible belly laughs to the point of practically peeing in our pants. Love those days in DC, hanging out. Hope you have great belly laughs in your retirement. Thanks for everything you did to make Clean Water Action so great.
Hi Kathy, I have many fond memories of working with you in Lansing, especially your professionalism, your hard work, and those red vines of licorice that you used to share with me. It was an honor working with you, and I really hope you enjoy a well-deserved freedom of retirement. Thanks.
Hey there, Kathy. David Foster, Texas Director here. How many times in the last 20 plus years have I raised election money at the last minute and needed you to come through with consultant agreements, legal guidance, and so much more? So thank you for that and so much more, and happy trails.
Hello, this is David Holtz. I'm in Cape May, New Jersey, but I'm from Michigan, and I'm a longtime friend of Kathy Aterno, and I wish her the best on this award and all of the great work of an environmental hero that she's done.
Hi, I'm Kate Kuzy. I'm the chairman of Clean Water Action. I've been working with Kathy Aterno for about 15 years. As the financial point person of the organization, She rides the good times and the tough times for all of us with humor, verve, and dedication. I am not sure if anyone could do what Kathy does, but I can testify that we would not be in as good a position without her. All my heartfelt love and best wishes for the next chapter in your life.
Hi, Kathy. I'm so sorry I can't be there in person virtually tonight to be able to say congratulations to you on receiving this award, but it's well deserved, and I wanted to be sure that I got a chance to say that. Thank you for everything you've done for me personally over the years, for our Chesapeake region where I used to work, and for all of Clean Water Action. It's super appreciated. So what I want to know is when you're going to come visit up north. Take care, Kathy. Congratulations. Bye.
Kathy Aterno, on behalf of the Massachusetts team, we want to thank you so much and appreciate you for all you've done for clean water. You rock.
Congratulations on your retirement. I hope you get to look at lots of beautiful birds and lizards by the pool.
Thank you for everything that you've done for us for so many years. I don't know what we are ever going to do without you, but we're going to try to hold it together. And so enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations from the Gockmans. You did it, Kathy. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for everything. We're going to miss you here at Clean Water. We'll tell Kathy Aterno stories for years to come, and we'll help your legacy live on. We're going to miss you, but we'll see you in Boca. Bye.
Hey, Kathy, a quick note from the Michigan team.
To our founding Michigan Clean Water Action Director.
We just want to say thank you.
And wish you an absolutely amazing retirement.
Make sure to come back home to visit us in Michigan.
You've always got a home with your Clean Water Action family. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Happy retirement.
Thank you, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy Aterno. This is Sue Fortuna, and I'm greeting you from Cape May, New Jersey. And I just want to congratulate you on your award and wish you the best into your retirement. And I hope to see you and beat you at Pinochle soon.
Hey, Aterno. Why Woody here. We miss you in Michigan, but I have many fond memories of our escapades and adventures in Lansing during the height of the Engler administration and the challenges with some of our fellow environmentalists. Take care. Retirement will look good on you. And thanks a lot for everything you've done. Bye-bye.
And we all just wanted to say,
Happy
retirement.
All right, well, thanks everyone for indulging me on that. It was kind of fun to put together. So it was really difficult to plan anything for this that Kathy wouldn't know about because she like pays all the bills and everything. Hoping the video was a surprise. I'm also hoping that Representative Bonnier's presence tonight is a surprise too. Congressman David Bonnier served Michigan's 12th district in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1977 until 2003. During his time in Congress, he served as both the House Majority and the House Minority Leader. For 7 of those years, Kathy Aterno worked in his office in DC. When I reached out to Representative Bonnier to let him know about Kathy's retirement and this award, he enthusiastically accepted the invitation to join us in honoring Kathy this evening. So thank you, Congressman Bonnier. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mary. And that was, by the way, a really cool visual and film that you put together. And those tributes were just lovely. They were really heartfelt. You could feel it. I want to congratulate Bob Wendeglass and you, Mary, and Sean, and Kathy, of course, and the whole Clean Water Action team for all the great work that you do and have done for decades now to protect our environment. I also want to congratulate Governor Whitmer and Dr. Kyle White and Michelle Martinez from the Environmental Justice Coalition for their environmental leadership and for being recognized this evening as well. Speaking of environmental justice, it was good to hear that we got these great leaders in Michigan doing this remarkable work. But it's my honor to share the remarks tonight about your own Kathy Aterno, whose tenure at the EPA saw her shepherd and implement throughout the government President Clinton's executive order on environmental justice. But before we go there and recap Kathy's amazing career, and as other people will join Bob, I guess, in doing that with me, let me tell you something that you might not know about this very accomplished woman. I've known Kathy for 47 years, and it's a long time. And when I first ran and was elected to the Congress, Kathy was a very young woman who managed our campaign office out of an old garage at Mount Clemens, Michigan. And this is what I wrote about her in my published memoir in 2018. I said, Kathy was one of many young environmental activists who worked for us. She was blessed with an infectious smile, a natural effervescence, and a winning sense of humor. She radiated energy even as she labored long hours, and she labored long hours in that campaign and subsequent campaigns. The joy she took being around people was contagious, and it was a huge asset for those of us in our organization. In her early 20s, she boasted a broad reach into the neighborhoods of her hometown, St. Clair Shores, Michigan. As a young progressive leader, Kathy had been involved in politics in St. Clair Shores. It was at that time a very large city, a city of 80,000 that we needed to win the primary and general election in our first campaign. It was situated, as all of you know here from Michigan anyway, that on Lake St. Clair, and it was a magnet for working class families and middle class families who love swimming and boating and year-round fishing. And in the winter, even today, you can see how crowded the ice shanties make the lake. The residents really valued clean water. I believe that because we ran our campaign for Congress on an environmental message, we won St. Clair Shores. And Kathy was the strategic mastermind in bringing home our victories. And I say victories because we had tough races in the primary and general. And she was right there. What she had to work with were the symbol of our campaign, which were trees. And we passed out a lot of trees. In fact, over the years, we passed out 1 million white pine seedlings, which were, of course, the tree of the state of Michigan. They're about 18 inches long, and they were put together in assembly in this cold garage that we worked out of. And then they were moved over to people who would distribute them and pass them out in their neighborhoods. And under Kathy's leadership in that campaign, we passed out 70,000 pine seedlings going door to door. And then we followed up on it twice a year for the next 26 years, accumulating about 1 million trees being passed out. But things didn't always run so smoothly. I mean, we had some interesting times in that campaign. I just want to tell you one quick story, if I can, right now. In that cold garage that Kathy was managing the campaign out of, she had an office, and then there was another office, which was the home of Lucky, the campaign's pet parakeet. And one fall day, dear Lucky met his demise to a crisis in the campaign. Lucky was a fixture in our campaign garage. As we got closer to the general election, the garage got colder. But I don't think anybody considered the impact on the poor bird. Just days before the general election, Ken DeBozart, some of you may know Ken, and you should, he was one of the great environmental legislators in Michigan who was elected. He worked with me. This was like his first adventure into all of this when he was in his early 20s. Then he got elected to the legislature, and then as a House member, and then a Senate member, and along with Lana Pollock, I think they kind of were the top environmentalists in the state government at that time. Ken went to the office one day and found Lucky lying on the floor of his cage. And Ken went to the upper office then and told Kathy Aterno what had happened. Kathy, in her usual calm Italian demeanor, went ballistic. And there was a reason why she went ballistic. Is because she really took seriously the job of keeping the spirits up of all the volunteers, and she knew this news was not going to be good. So Ken was dispatched quickly and secretly to a nearby Kmart, which at that time had a pet section. Ken remembered most vividly being approached by an employee who asked if he needed assistance. Nodding yes, that he did, he said he needed to buy a bird. What kind, she asked. A lucky one, he thought to himself. Then pulled the deceased bird then from wrapped in a Kleenex out of his coat pocket and said to the clerk, I need a bird that looks exactly like this. Well, the clerk and Ken really worked at it, and they got close as they could with a very limited inventory of birds at this Kmart. And the color was pretty good, but the bird was much smaller than Lucky was. Ken returned from the Kmart, placed the live bird in the cage, and held his breath as the volunteers started to come and arrive and put the tree project together and get the literature out and all the things you do in a campaign. And of course, even greater relief arrived for all of us later, when just a few days later, when we won the election and the results came in. The incident proved not to be a bad omen after all, except for the bird. But it was quite an experience to have that bird and tell that story over the years. But when we did win the election, one thing that I wanted to do was make sure that we had the best people running the offices in Washington, D.C. for our district. And so I asked Kathy and Jim Bowman to head our Washington office. She led our office, and then years later, she became chief of staff for Bill Richardson, one of my new colleagues. And then Kathy embarked on a terrific career with Clean Water Action. After Kathy left the Hill, she formed KI Consultants and began her close work with Clean Water Action, later becoming a full-time employee. She opened offices in different parts of the country, as we've heard from just now in the film, including serving Michigan's director and Florida's director for a while supervising campaigns in other key states. In 1993, Kathy joined the Clinton administration as a political appointee at EPA, first as the administrator and then as the chief of staff, first as the administrator's chief of staff, I should say, and then as the deputy administrator for management and budget. For the past 25 years, she served as managing director and chief financial officer of Clean Water Action. And she found time in all of this to go to school in the evening, get her bachelor's degree from George Washington, and then get her master's in policy, administration and policy, public policy from George Mason University. Both of those places in DC or just outside of Washington, DC. So Kathy, it's great to see everybody praise you tonight for all your great efforts and work over the years and your steadfastness and the fond memories that they share with you. And I just want to congratulate you tonight and wish you the very best on your retirement. You've had marvelous achievements in your life. So I wish you enjoy your retirement, but I know you'll keep a hand in this, because we all don't go away when we retire. We find other things to get engaged in. And I have a funny feeling a lot of that might revolve around the environment as well. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate that. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Going to turn it over now to Clean Water Action's President and CEO, Bob Wendelgas.
So thank you, Congressman Bonnier, for those thoughts. Before I go any further, congratulations to all the awardees tonight for outstanding work. So as Congressman Bonnier noted, Kathy's work at Clean Water dates back to 1987. She started on a short-term contract as a consultant working with our development department, helping our development director with some specific projects. And now 31 years later, she's retiring from Clean Water. It's been an amazing 31 years. As I think anybody who works with Kathy knows, she works extraordinarily hard. Mary Brady Anderson and I joke about getting emails from Kathy that came at 3 o'clock in the morning. Personally, I don't see emails at 3 o'clock in the morning, but but Kathy's up and thinking about work and fires up the computer and gets to work. And that's the kind of person Kathy is. So those of you who are good at math might have noticed that 1987 and 31 don't add up to 2021. As Congressman Bonnier noted, Kathy spent a number of years in the EPA during the Clinton administration doing some amazing work as chief of staff to Carol Browner, who was EPA administrator, and working on moving environmental justice forward in the agency and in an interagency working group as well. And lucky for us, she came back to Clean Water after her sojourn at EPA and stayed, another 20 years or so. Kathy's worn lots of hats, as Congressman Bonnier mentioned, during her time at Clean Water. The primary one in which I've worked with her is as our National Managing Director. For those of you who don't know, that's the #2 position in the organization. Some would say it's the most important position in the organization. It's the person who makes sure that the bills get paid, the money gets deposited, the accounts are posted, the audits are done, and all of that work happens behind the scenes. And for 25 probably or more years, Kathy made that happen. But that's not all that she did, because Kathy wasn't just going to be a behind the scenes financial person. She really helped lead campaigns. She helped raise money for the organization. She was, as Congressman Bonnier and Mary have noted, the first Michigan director who opened up the offices and the programs here in Michigan. She moved to Florida and was our first Florida director. She oversaw our work in Colorado for a number of years. And then we have opened a number of offices over the years in a variety of places to do election work. Kathy was responsible for a number of those places. Some were more exciting places than others, but ranging from Colorado to Florida to Iowa and the Dakotas. And she opened offices, ran election campaigns, and made things happen. Thanks to Dave Dempsey, who worked with Kathy back in the day when the Michigan program was first starting. Have some notes on what some of the accomplishments of that era were. I think the biggest one that I heard of was being part of the coalition that passed Michigan's polluter pay law, really building one of the strongest laws in the nation until it got repealed, but something that I know we still work on to this day, working to get that restored and to get that protection back in state law. Kathy led a lot of work on recycling and waste issues, working to shut down incinerators and landfills and make recycling work in the state. And then, not a big surprise, lots of work that Kathy led around the Great Lakes, whether it was coastal issues, water quality issues, sewage discharge, toxins in the lake, you name it. I think all those issues should sound pretty familiar to folks because the work that Kathy and the early team did really set the direction and the foundation that carries us forward to this day. If you'll indulge me for a second, on a personal level, I've worked really closely with Kathy for the past 11 years when I've been president and CEO of Clean Water. And in good times and bad, and in any sort of organization like this, there are both. Kathy is a rock. She is smart, dependable, incredibly hardworking, incredibly organized, and just amazingly willing to step up and do what needs to be done. My job would have been a lot harder and a lot less fun without Kathy. And Clean Water would not be what it is today without Kathy and her financial skills, her political instincts, and her organizational talents. So on behalf of the National Boards of Clean Water Action and Clean Water Fund, on behalf of all the staff who work with us now, and all the staff that Kathy has worked with over her past 31 years with us, it's really my pleasure to say thank you to Kathy for all that she's done to make this a cleaner and healthier world, and all that she's done to support us in our work to make that happen. So I can think of no one who deserves a Lifetime Achievement Award more than Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, and our best wishes for the next chapter.
Well, I have to first say it's great to see some familiar faces that I haven't seen for a while and names on the board. I thank you for the incredibly kind words and some old memories in this brain that I didn't remember, the bird. That was very funny, David. And heartfelt thanks to Clean Water Michigan team for bestowing upon me this Great Lakes Lifetime Achievement Award. As you heard, Michigan is near and dear to my heart, but of course my body needs Florida, particularly this time of year, because I can't handle the weather. I was just spent a week in Michigan last week. I was in Michigan, and they have this thing, I cause bad weather to come to Michigan every time I go, and they swear, the staff swore they saw snow. Okay, that was the big thing. It was going to snow because I was going there. But, you know, over the last 3 decades, Clean Water has afforded me many opportunities and many challenges. I've been able to work on great issues in great locations most of the time. You know, I've been in some places that I wouldn't want to go back again, and with great people inside and outside of Clean Water. During my tenure, you know, I've also had an opportunity to work with many young people that have come into Clean Water, and now they're much older colleagues. I've watched tens of thousands of them pass through our doors. I was trying to figure out how many over my 30 years. And many of them left us to do bigger and better things in the nonprofit community, in politics. They're elected officials, local elected officials, and we have, you know, a multimillionaire that's a former staff person of ours. You know, and occasionally I have an opportunity to touch base and talk to our alumni, and it always touches my heart when we finally reminisce about the times and the things, the accomplishments we've all done, worked hard together. And also when they say, hey, you gave me that little skill, you helped me in my development plan and moving me forward, thank you for it. So, you know, I will definitely miss Clean Water family, you know, our laughter, the passion, all the personalities we have, but definitely not one thing, our annual audit process. So I am not going to miss that ever again. So I thank you again for this touching award that I carried on the plane, if you can see it. Last week, Mary drove an hour and a half each way to give it to me. I can't even, oh, put it in the camera. Okay, so here it is. Thank you. And it is about 30 pounds, it feels like. So again, thank you all for this. And David's right and others right. I just said I'm taking the month of January off just to be a real person, and then I'll think about all the things I'll do after that to keep giving back to the communities and the causes that I've cared about for 50 years. So thank you again.
Congratulations, Kathy. Thank you for everything. And thank you everyone for joining us. Congratulations again to all of our award recipients, Michelle and Kyle, thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. Thanks for supporting us and our work, for showing up, speaking out for our water and our communities, and for slowing down with me to reflect and celebrate. In the past, being 10 minutes over something would not sit well for Mary Brady Enerson, and I'm totally letting it go because this has been a really lovely evening to share with all of you. Also, big thank you to all of our event sponsors. We literally could not do this without you. And thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. I am so grateful for our collective commitment to a clean water future. So on behalf of all of us at Clean Water Action, we wish everyone a very happy, healthy holiday season, and then onward to 2022, because we have more work to do. Thanks, everyone. Good night.